Welcome to the workspace. That is currently a mess. Yep. Pens and pencils everywhere. General detritus of a 6-person family. Yes, and there's an awful lot of mess over in that direction. And I can see my birds through the window. You can't really see them very well through the curtain, unfortunately. But we've got a selection of starlings and sparrows out there today. Probably because I've just refilled the feeders. Anyway, back to what I was going to say. Right, I thought today I would show you my my sketchbook. It's kind of a sketchbook, and it's kind of a it's kind of a legacy to my kids, I suppose. But it's also something that I hope other people will like as well, which is why I've been publishing the pages on my website, which is tpsworld.net, if you're looking for it. Obviously stick HTTP whatever in front of it, but there we go. Anyway, this is the book I'm constantly working on. This started out as a series of dialogue only flash stories last summer, when Puff and Stardust were pretty much making my life a misery, because I wanted to create, but I didn't know what I wanted to create, so I was flitting from task to task, project to project, and trying to run the family at the same time, and it just wasn't working. So they started coming out, the little situations I got myself into started coming out as these little stories, which I put on my Facebook wall, my personal Facebook wall, and then I wrote down on a file, and next thing I know, I'm illustrating them, which I suppose some of the blame for that should really go to Maria Kurishapova. Hey Maria. And Rachel Lewis. Maria is my, also known as Maria K, talented author and illustrator and translator, and strangely enough, she's also really, really good at cooking, really, really good at maths, and although we have yet to meet, I feel she is my sister by another mother. Yeah. Anyway, the other person who holds the blame for this one is Rachel Lewis. Now, she's my get back on track tutor. I've been going to her classes for a couple of years now, and she's succeeded in encouraging me in all sorts of ways, not just in keeping my depression at bay, but at encouraging my creativity as well. So when we started doing an art project last September, the stories that I'd written that summer seemed perfect for the project. So this is where this book started out. Okay, it actually morphed into something else, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, as you can see, it's called Muse and Author by Mandy E. Ward. That's my illustrator name, but it's also my real name. Kind of scary saying that. Like, I don't want to admit that I'm a real person. Anyway, this symbol here is Tiger Books. Okay, and that's the umbrella I publish the majority of my stuff under. Sometimes it gets published by other people, rarely. But this is my own little umbrella. Anyway, going through. As you can see, there are a lot of stories. and this is just 23 of them. There's actually twice that. The ones that are in black are the ones that have been drawn, and the ones with ticks next to them are the ones that have been coloured. So we're getting somewhere. Slowly, we're getting somewhere. Then, of course, we have the characters. These are the main characters, because I get all sorts of side characters coming in. So, you know. That's my representation of myself, I suppose. Kind of a self-portrait. And yes, I look that tired and that messy. Not hiding anything here. This is my oldest son, also known as number one son. His saying, games, anime, manga, I am otaku, essentially sums him up. He is a typical teenager in his interests, but the Asperger's side of him comes out with the intensity of his interests. Over here we have PT. Once it meant Princess Terrorist. She doesn't like that. So now it means Princess Talkative, because she doesn't shut up. She's currently obsessed with books and textiles, which is why she says, if it's not to do with books or textiles, I'm not here. And then, of course, we've got PW. Now, PW is short for Princess Wriggles. She was known as Wriggly Baby when she was in utero, and she still wriggles. She cannot sit still for a second. She's upside down, lying down, on her head, bouncing around. You know, she's really active, which is exhausting. Especially when you have this young man. This SB, see it says SB up here, right? And he doesn't really have much to say, apart from "rawr" a lot of the time, or "dat." Dat is a favourite word at the moment. Not entirely sure what it means. It's usually accompanied by a pointing finger, and it's an obvious command, you know. I want that, kind of, dat. But sometimes it isn't, and then you've got to try and figure it out. SB stands for Surprise Baby, because we weren't expecting him. We were expecting something else. What we got was a bundle of Smiley Baby, Screechy Baby, Sleepy Baby, Silly Baby, you know, anything that SB could stand for, that's what it stands for, depending on the time. I mean, here he's a little baby, because that's how he was when I started drawing this. But now he's a walking, gabbling toddler who's into everything. Right. Of course, the other characters here. This here is Puff. Puff is my writing muse, and he is a bit of a taskmaster. He loves writing, he loves words, he loves building worlds, he loves the starts, he loves the fight scenes. He's always very present when I'm writing a fight scene for some reason. Then down here we've got Stardust. Now, Stardust is very definitely a crafter. She's a bit of an artist, but she's more crafter than artist. She's been taking a back seat recently since Salvador turned up, but when we started this, she was my art muse and my craft muse and everything in between muse. And then you got Patches. Patches is who takes over when I need to cook. Cooking, baking, making smoothies, anything creative with food, that's when Patches turns up. Okay. Right. Okay. Here we have a few visitors. There are a lot of visitors, so not all of them have been drawn out yet, which is why we've got a blank page with just names there. Anyway, up here we've got CC. Now CC hasn't been introduced in the stories yet, but it stands for common cold, and he changes form every so often. Cleo, it's kind of sad to be honest now. Anyway, Cleo, when I started this, Cleo was the cat that we had, and she was so queen-like. She often got called Queen Cleopatra. She was that queenie. Calicos are often standoffish. She was all that and more. And there's Maria, or at least my imagination of a Maria. I'm pretty certain Maria doesn't think she looks like that, but she does like purple. And these three odd-looking fellas are her muses, or three of them anyway, because they're dead authors. They're dead Russian authors, to be honest. This one is Dosti, also known as Dostoevsky, and he insists that only his stories get translated. He's a bit like Puff, he's a bit of a taskmaster. Then you've got Gogol, who I understand was a bit like a bit of mafia. I might have got that wrong. I'm sure Maria will tell me otherwise. And then you've got Kuprin. Kuprin, to me, looks a bit Stan Laurelish. Not entirely sure if that's correct, but, you know, I was drawing these from a photograph, so it's pretty good. As I said, these are characters that... These are going to be the Dragonflights and the Blessing. That's the unicorns and the dragons, for anyone who doesn't know my terminology. And then we get onto the stories. Well, this one, it's the very first one. And in the competition that I'm going to run, you can actually win a photo tile of this story. Okay, it's a photograph of this story, and it's one of my photographs, so it's the best I can possibly do. But you can win it for your very own. I'll show you that in a bit. Anyway, then we've got, yeah, if you've been visiting the blog, you'll have seen these ones. You see, no, I don't look that good after my first cup of coffee. I was just playing around, really. I quite like the puns and the writing on this particular one, because it really does sum up the way I feel before I've had my coffee. This is a story about PW and SB. And yes, they argue just like that all the time. Or rather, PW plays with the toys and SB knocks everything down, and then PW gets annoyed with him and we go round in circles. Yeah. You know where it goes. Yeah, what families do, isn't it? Right, this one was a conversation between me and myself. So the colours in the background are actually supposed to be the way I was feeling at the time. So my brain was like this, but my body was like this, you know, awake and ready and wanted to move and everything. And my brain just wanted to write. It's all I wanted to do. But my body it was really annoying. It kept twitching and making me kick my legs. And it was so really annoying. I don't know if you get that through the actual piece, though. This one happens almost daily. Stardust and Puff arguing over me. They still argue over me. I let them fight it out most of the time, and then I decide between them. And then, of course, there are the times when Puff just doesn't want to play. He wants to do stuff on his own, and he doesn't want me to be doing... Well, he wants me to be writing, but he doesn't want to be helping me. You know, so I end up getting blocked in the middle of a paragraph. It's a pain in the ass that way. Last summer, oh, it was so hot. It really was. And I think this is the last one that appeared on the blog thus far. So you're going to get a sneak peek in a minute. And it really did feel like he was sat on my shoulder making my hair burn, because I was that boiling hot and it didn't want to stop. Another one of the arguments between Puff and Stardust. Yes, and she is always waving things at me. Come and do this project. Come and do that project. And I'm sat there going, well, I could, but I got to do that. And Puff's just going crazy. You're supposed to be writing. I have a lot of naps, mostly because of SB, and Puff really doesn't like them. He does try and wake me up with dreams a lot of the time. And here's the latest one, which is number 10. So you can see I'm trying my best to stay calm. I'm doing a meditation. And Puff and Stardust are arguing again. That's the way it works. It's the way it goes. But, yeah. That last 3 haven't been up on the blog yet. So you got a bit of a sneak preview there, I suppose. The other thing I've been working on, which I want to show off, so I'm sorry, but you might like it, you might not. I've been doing like a Lift the Flat book as my art project. It morphed out of doing the author and the muse book, so it is kind of connected, and it's about a character called the Snorosaurus. So this is basically how far I've got with it. That's the first page, and then I haven't got the text yet, so it's, you go through and you're looking for the Snorosaurus. You look at under all the flaps, see what's there. I mean, this is only a dummy book. It's probably never gonna get made into a print book because it would just be too expensive. Yes, this is me attempting to make real curtains. They're all glued together, but no sewing involved. But I'm particularly proud of the picture that's underneath. That's one of my favourite pages, that is. And then there's this one. Let's shift that up slightly so you can see it. And on each page there are little interesting things, because I feel that if you're going to be a parent reading the same book over and over again, there might as well be something for you in there. So there are little jokes and little things that you might recognise, like my taste in films and things to watch and things to listen and so on and so forth. And on this page you lift the blanket and there's all the toys underneath. And yes, my couches have toys underneath. You can thank SB for that. And then we go to the toy box. This is obviously in a different room because the colour of the walls changed. I'm trying to stay fairly gender neutral. You know, it could be a boys' room, it could be a girls' room. Yeah, there are things there that could be a girl's toys or a boys' toys. And we lift the flap, and no, Snorosaurus isn't there. There's some very nice toys, but no Snorosaurus. And then finally we get to the other part of the bedroom. And this bright pink was supposed to be a horse, but PW insisted I turn it into a unicorn. So it's had a horn attached to it. And you can see a few things, you know. I have to say what duck, because as a Terry Pratchett fan, what duck is essential, and there are opportunities all the way through the book to say what duck. I wonder if you could tell me what that is. My daughter thinks it's a goat, but it's not. And then we lift this very fluffy blanket to find a giant teddy bear. I love giant teddy bears. I just want to have a big one that I can snuggle up into. In fact, I'd quite like the Totoro bed. I don't know if you've seen that on the interwebs anywhere. Anyway, there is the Snorosaurus. Tiny little dragon. I don't know if you can see him properly. Hang on, let's go for a close-up. There's the Snorosaurus, all snuggled into the teddy bear, under the blanket. But it's a bit of fun. And I'm really rather pleased with the way it's turned out and rather proud of it. It's going to be another thing for my kids to see in the future. Well, I think that's it for now. I'll come back again another time and talk to you about something else. Doodles.